A California teenager speaking out after her cross-country team says they were forced to remove these Save Girls Sports shirts, and their concerns over a transgender teammate were ignored.
I have been around the females and just my team in general who have felt almost silenced to speak out about it because the whole LGBTQ is shoved down our throats. And going into locker room and seeing males in there, I don't find that safe. It's not okay. I'm a 16-year-old girl. There's girls around me where we do not feel safe having boys in our environment.
The girls wore shirts that they're wearing right now that the front says Save Girls Sports, and then on the back of the shirt it says it's common sense, XX does not equal XY. And so the girls wore these shirts to a cross-country practice, and the same athletic director that had displaced Taylor on the girls' varsity team told the girls that they needed to remove their shirts or hide the messaging on their shirts. And when the girls very respectfully asked, why do we need to change our shirts? What's wrong with the messages? The athletic director told the girls that their shirts, the messages on their shirts created a hostile environment. And the girls, again, very respectfully asked, what does that mean? What do you mean that our shirts create a hostile environment? And the athletic director told the girls that it would be, the messages on their shirts would be the same thing as wearing a swastika in front of a Jewish student.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So we have a school in California where girls are losing their spots on teams to trans athletes. We have a girl on a cross-country varsity team who ended up losing her position on the team because a trans athlete transferred to the school and was given priority. Apparently this athlete doesn't turn up to practice, has only turned up to practice probably 25% of the time, but yet is being given all this preferential treatment, is being given all this consideration and being chosen over a deserving, hardworking female athlete. So the girls took matters into their own hands. They were standing up for their sports. They were wearing t-shirts saying Save Women's Sports, saying that women's sports is only for females, for XX, but the athletics director called this hateful and basically compared their t-shirts that said Save Women's Sports to a swastika. So thankfully the parents of these girls have had enough of this and they are taking legal action. So Taylor Starling, a high school cross-country runner at Martin Luther King High School in Riverside, California, lost her spot on the varsity team earlier this season to a transgender transfer student. Multiple parents of students at Martin Luther King have told Fox News Digital that the school has allowed the trans athlete to compete on the varsity cross-country team despite missing practices for academic reasons. These parents include Starling's father, a longtime firefighter, Ryan Starling, and construction subcontractor, Dan Slaving. Father to Catherine, another runner on the team. Dan Slaving said the following: the fact that the male athlete was able to compete while attending less than 25% of the practices is not fair. In what era, on what team, in what sport can you barely show up to practice and still compete? It's not fair, and it's not right to those who work hard every day for the entire season. And this is a trend that we're seeing. They give these trans athletes special treatment, preferential treatment that the women, the female athletes, would never get away with. The same thing came out with SJSU, according to the complaint that was filed by the associate head coach, Melissa Beatty-Smoos. She said that the trans athlete was given preferential treatment. This person was allegedly late to practice a lot of the time, broke certain rules, like leaving the residence that they were staying at and they weren't supposed to be leaving the hotel or whatever. The female athletes probably would have been punished if they had done the same thing. The trans athlete at SJSU was chosen over a female athlete, received a scholarship that was no longer available to the female athlete, who ended up going to a different school. This is the pattern that we have seen that has been going on for years. It's certain groups being allowed to trample upon the rights of others. It's certain groups having their desires and wants put before the rights of other groups. So both families are currently engaged in a lawsuit against the Riverside Unified School District.
My worst nightmare is being there where somebody needs me, they're looking at me and their life depends on it.
Be careful, man.
And I can't perform my job because I'm not physically fit.
So that's Ryan Starling. He is the father of the girl who lost her spot on the team. And he spoke about how this affected her and how it's affected the whole family. They see how hard she works. This is cross country. Anybody who has done cross country before knows that cross country is no joke. She trains very hard and she lost her spot on the team to somebody who doesn't even show up to practice, to somebody who isn't even female. Why? Because gender ideology, once again, trumps everything.
I know, Taylor, you even asked the athletic director regarding other messages. So if you want to speak to that, you can go ahead and share.
Yeah, I asked our athletic director about, because the student on our team wears bracelets that say like trans pride, and I asked him why is he allowed to wear that, and why can't we wear ours and express our opinion when he is expressing his opinion? Like, why can't we wear our shirts? So then she just brought up the example of the swastika again. She wouldn't really answer my any of my questions. She just kept on bringing up that example.
So Ryan Starling is Taylor's father, and he said, it's been told multiple times to not just Taylor, but her sister. Taylor is one of 3 triplets. All 3 students are part of varsity sports teams. So sports is huge in this family. All the administrators at Martin Luther King have stated this comment, and the Title IX coordinator for the Riverside Unified School District has stated that as a cisgender girl, they do not have the same rights as a transgender girl. To multiple girls, not just our daughters, but multiple girls on campus. This is what they're telling people's daughters, that they do not have the same rights as transgender athletes. They do not have the same rights as boys who identify as girls. This is what they're telling our girls in these woke cities, in these woke schools, by these woke school districts. And the fact is, that is an outright lie. So Fox News reached out to the school district and they had nothing to say. They basically declined to comment. Spokesperson declined to give official comment on Ryan Starling's claims in a conversation with Fox News Digital. The RUSD previously provided a statement to Fox News Digital, insisting that its handling of the situation has been in accordance with California state law. And unfortunately, that really isn't a high standard. So California law, AB 1266, has been in effect since 2014, giving California students at scholastic and collegiate levels the right to participate in sex-segregated school programs and activities, including athletics teams and competitions, and use facilities consistent with his or her gender identity, irrespective of the gender listed on the pupil's records.
Personally, it hurt me like really bad because I am not like a hateful person. Like, God calls us to love everyone and be kind to everyone. So like just hearing that made me feel like really bad, like I was being like hateful towards that person when I wasn't. I was just standing up for women's sports and helping them get equality in their sports.
Yeah, it was definitely hard to hear because like we were by no means trying to be hateful. We were just wearing a shirt that expresses what we believe in, trying to raise awareness to a situation. And it was not targeted to an individual athlete at all.
And so, Julianne, a lawsuit has been brought up. She is not part of it. You are. What are you doing to try to fix this situation?
Certainly. So 2 of my clients that are O'Reilly's teammates on the cross-country team out in Riverside Unified School District, 2 of the girls have brought this lawsuit against their school district based on 2 causes of action. One is a Title IX issue, which resulted from Taylor, who is a junior at the Martin Luther King High School. She was on the varsity top 7, and when this transgender student transferred to the girls' high school. Taylor was removed from the varsity team, and in her place, this biological male was placed on her team. This student did not meet any of the varsity top 7 eligibility requirements. Taylor blew those eligibility requirements out of the park. The one qualifying factor that the athletic director considered when replacing Taylor was this student's time. He is a biological male, and of course, he did run faster than my client Taylor. And so we brought this Title IX cause of action against the school district. And then the other side of this is a free speech cause of action. Following Taylor's displacement on the varsity team, the girls wore shirts that said "Save Girls Sports." That's what the front of the shirt said. They wore it to their practice, and the athletic director told them that they needed to hide their shirt or change their shirts because that message, "Save Girls Sports," creates a hostile environment. She went on to compare this message to a student wearing a swastika in front of Jewish students.
So Riley, you're wearing the shirt right there. That's the shirt, right?
Yes, it is.
When you heard that somebody had compared it to a swastika, wearing that shirt is compared to a swastika, what do you make of that?
It was honestly disappointing in our staff at our school. That's a mass genocide, and to compare a very broad term to such a horrible time in history was quite honestly disappointing.
In my opinion, they're saying this to these young girls to intimidate them, to get them to shut up, basically. To put up with it and not say anything. That's what they want. That's their ultimate goal. To make such a comparison is a desperate attempt to silence these girls. So the school district is saying that we are just following California state law. We don't even have the authority to implement the changes that you want to see happen. They said as these matters play out in our courts and the media, opposition and protests should be directed at those in a position to affect those laws and policies, including officials in Washington, D.C. and Sacramento. But was it the officials in Washington, D.C. and in Sacramento that made this athletic director tell these young girls that wearing a t-shirt that says "Protect Women's Sports" is comparable to a swastika? Is that written in California law? So when the girls were confronted about their shirts and that terrible comparison was made, more and more students began to show up wearing these t-shirts. So the school altered its dress code, I guess to be more specific about what shirts are banned, and they started putting these students in detention. This didn't stop the shirts from spreading and growing. It became a weekly ritual for hundreds of students every Wednesday to show up wearing the shirts, support of the girls and their messaging, and many of them created viral social media posts on it. The school administrators basically gave up trying to administer punishments for wearing these shirts, because up to 400 students would show up wearing these shirts. I mean, that is a wonderful thing to hear. This is in California. These students have had enough and they came together in unity to fight against this insanity. And the good news, the great news is that Taylor worked very hard and succeeded in winning her spot back on the varsity team. She even beat the transgender player. And her dad said that people showing up wearing these t-shirts really gave her a lot of support. It really encouraged her. So the parents and students came together to protest what was going on, and they said there were some counter-protests. Sources have told Fox News Digital that the LGBTQ activists at the event were harassing the protesters on the other side and even disrupted a women's prayer group during a prayer circle prior to the meeting. So when people were giving speeches, they do the usual stuff where they try and stifle people's free speech, where they're yelling, shouting, screaming, while people are trying to give speeches.
On average, men are stronger, taller, faster, and can jump higher than women. And it's not an opinion, it's a biological reality. One boy's feelings don't matter more than all women's physical safety, the integrity of sports, and the objective truth. So when did boys' rights become more important than women's rights? Many of us girls have been emotionally blackmailed and silenced and reprimanded for even daring to attempt to protect our spaces. We should be able to all have a voice. We should be able to trust that our staff and our admin at our schools will not punish us for thinking differently than them, because that's exactly what happened. Isn't that their most basic duty to fulfill? Isn't that your duty to fulfill? to ensure that our safety, our privacy, and our opportunities in and out of the classroom. They have failed, and you guys are currently failing us. The first day I wore my shirt, I was not allowed to enter my campus, which is paid for by tax money, and I was argued with for 30 minutes by administration and talked to in front of my entire math class by my teacher. I'm not learning anything when I'm getting held out of class. I'm not learning anything when I'm getting yelled at in front of my class. That's wrong. Why should there be a ban on shirts? There's no ban on whatever they want to wear, and some people don't agree with that, as Chase said earlier. They are allowed to use their voice, whether through social media or in person, so why are we silencing women under the progress? Women should not be silenced, and we will not be silenced. Thank you.
But it's so nice to hear that they had hundreds of students supporting them, showing up wearing those shirts, which, believe me, it does more than you think. To some people, it's just a t-shirt, but it has a clear message and it's a sign of support. And that means more to these girls than anything. It really keeps them going. It really encourages them to not give up. And with January 20 coming, even if you're in a state that allows this, even if you're in a school district that is all for this, hopefully there will be multiple executive orders putting a stop to this. So California Governor Gavin Newsom has vowed to resist the incoming Trump administration. No surprises there. But Trump has pledged to ban trans athletes from women's and girls' sports, and the new Republican-controlled Congress has indicated an intention to do so as well. The House Rules package for the 119th Congress was posted this week, and the first step in its order of business is a bill that would bring about Title IX revisions that would only allow athletes to compete in the gender category that they were assigned at birth. They're basically competing according to your biological sex, something that has been about from the very beginning, from the very existence of women's categories in sports.
We stop it. We stop it. We absolutely stop it. You can't have it. It's a man playing in the game. I mean, physically, from a muscular state, even if it was a little bit less, maybe they do all sorts of tests and drugs and everything else. Look at what's happened in swimming. Look at the records that are being broken.
So how do you stop it? Do you go to the sports leagues? Do you go to the Olympic
You just ban it. The president bans it. You just don't let it happen.
So much respect to these young girls standing up for their sports, and much respect to the parents and the fathers that are standing up for their daughters. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.